and I am the Vice President of Business Development for Bird Technologies. I'm going to take a couple slides and talk over some of the differences between LMR and cellular DAS systems. A couple of the big differences up front is that LMR is coverage driven. And it's not saying that coverage isn't important within cellular, but coverage is absolutely a requirement within LMR. Cellular now has switched over to be more capacity driven. And as we saw in the presentation at 11:30, I believe it is, they've added a third C, and that's for criticality. So LMR is very narrow band. You've got 12.5 kilohertz signals. You've got down to 6.25 now, whereas cellular is very wide band. And then there's a couple of others that you can see. Typically with an LMR system, most of them today are donor antennas over the air compared to cellular, which is very much being driven by BTS and then some over the air. Couple of things here on this slide that are important is that LMR, you have very low data rates and you have a static modulation. Whereas with the cellular systems, you're really truly dealing with high data rates and an adaptive modulation. That adaptive modulation changes as your coverage or as your ability to receive and send a signal happens within the structure. The actual numbers up here don't really matter, but what's really important is the trend. And what you see here is the trend of the data consumption trend over time and what's been happening. We used to have a feature phone, and I don't know about y'all, but I'm a little bit older. And so when we switched from feature phones to smartphones, I kind of didn't want to make that transition because I really didn't want them sending my email to me wherever I happened to be. However, I didn't have much choice. So we switched to smartphones, to superphones, and now to tablets. And I guess I joined that trend because typically when I travel, I've got a smartphone, I've got a tablet, I've got a PC, so I'm totally connected no matter where I am. And as a matter of fact, in a lot of locations around the world, you can actually get better cellular coverage and connectivity wirelessly on the side of the road somewhere than you can in some hotels. And I've experienced that in India and a number of other places where that's actually the very lifeline that you need because that's the best way to be connected. This graph also shows the evolution of wireless data rates, and we're really truly heading toward gigabit rates, and that's where everything's heading to. This one really truly just highlights what's going on with global mobile data. And as you can see, back in 2012, 2013, we started to see growth. But what is really truly being predicted is the growth that hits all the way out through 2017 and beyond. And you're looking at a 66% compounded average growth rate of data requirements over that period of time. A couple more slides on some of the differences between LMR and cellular systems. LMR, interference causes a drop call or poor quality. On cellular, because of the multiple modulation formats, interference causes a reduced data rate, and then, if it continues, it'll actually drop the call. And then the other major one, and we've talked about this briefly a moment ago, and also was covered at the 11:30 session, and that is that coverage is mandated by code under LMR, and coverage is mandated by customers when we talk about cellular. Cellular, it's mandated by churn, or the desire to keep revenue up and not have to keep your churn low. And in LMR and public safety, it's really truly driven by saving lives. And that's where the couple of major differences are. On LMR, there's very little incentive, money incentive, whereas on, like we just said, on cellular, it's driven by revenue. The other thing is the main U.S. frequencies. The main U.S. frequencies for LMR public safety are below 1 gigahertz, whereas with the cellular systems, you're talking about 700, 800, 1900, AWS. So you've got a much broader range of frequency ranges to be able to cover on cellular, but on LMR, you've got lower, all under 1 gig. As was described a little bit earlier, one of the advantages of the lower frequencies is you do get better penetration and better coverage at those frequencies. Also in LMR at this point in time, there is no MIMO. Diversity is out there, but it's not really widely used. And cellular, you're talking advanced MIMO 2x2 now and going to 8x2 in the future. This drawing kind of tries to take and bring in maybe a little bit of both, where you've got a donor antenna pulling in your LMR public safety system, bringing it down into the down into the base state, in this case in the basement. You've got your BTS down there for your cellular system, feeding it, then being distributed out throughout with a fiber optic network.